Describe what you remember about the city of Pulaski or surrounding area when you were little.
Well, I never did like Pulaski in the first place, and I still don't till today. We lived over there 3 years, and
What don't you like about it?
I don't know. There's just something about Pulaski I never did like, as well as I do Lawrenceburg anyway. And but one thing I always stood out to me about Pulaski is the pretty courthouse they have.
Did they have it when you were little?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they did. I don't remember being there when I was little.
Oh.
I don't know what
How
year.
about the surrounding area then? What do you remember about it? Because he said, what do you remember about the surrounding area when you were little? What do you remember about the hills and the...
Well, like I said, I don't remember being in Pulaski when I was little.
No, I said the surrounding area, Giles County. What do you remember?
It's just a lot of pretty hills and pasture, you know, cattle on the hills are grazing. There's some beautiful, beautiful places in Giles County.
When you were little, that's what there was?
Well, I'm sure it was.
You don't remember about when you were little?
No, when I was little, I don't remember that much about it.
What do you remember about where you lived when you were little? That's what he wants to know, because he thinks that's where you lived.
No, I didn't live in Pulaski. We lived out in the country on Preacher Bashir's place, and Papa and another man sharecropped for Preacher Bashir's, because he owned a lot of land. He had cattle, he had sheep, he had hogs, had chickens, ducks, geese, had everything. For that day and time, he was considered to be pretty wealthy.
And why was he called Preacher Bashir's then?
He's a Baptist preacher.
Was he an educated preacher?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No.
He's educated enough to read, but I don't know how much formal education he had. Probably very little, because he was up in years quite a bit, you know, when we lived there on his place. And then he lived to be in his 80s, I think, him and his wife too. But anyway, their house was my second home. Mama said we lived just a little ways from their house. And Mama said I used to slip off sometimes, you know, and not tell her where I was going. And she seen me, and she'd holler and say, "Where you think you're going?" I said, "I'm going to Sally's house."
Who's Sally?
Preacher Bashir's his wife.
Oh.
And she said, "I make you think Sally's house. You get yourself back here." But I love to go to their house, you know. And one time I slipped off and went down there, and Papa come to get me, and I was sitting at the table eating supper with him. And he told me, "You get down, we got to go home." Miss Sally said, "No, now you sit down and give her time to finish her supper, and then she can go home." So that's what he did. See, it was Papa's aunt and uncle.
Oh.
And but I'd tell her I was going to Sally's house. So I was 10 years old when we moved from that place and moved to the Liberty Hill community, where I lived till, well, I was 10 years old when we left the Bashir's place and moved to Liberty